Well, good afternoon, everyone. I have a very, very special guest with me today, Dr. Doreen Downing, who is a podcast host. She's just a wonderful human being. She's a psychologist,
Psychologist, yeah.
and was also our keynote speaker at last year's Sonoma County Writers Conference. Just a dynamite human being. Say hello, and then I'll give the proper intro to you, Doreen.
Oh, I'm so happy to be back in conversation with you, John. It's because every time we have a talk, every time we get together, I always am inspired by you. Really. It's even when we had lunch that day, it was like, oh, this is so much fun.
It is, and you gave me the inspiration of having putting together this podcast when I was a guest on yours for my last book. And for those who are just joining us or discovering this podcast for the very first time, this is Dare to Be Great, Dare to Be You. My name is Sean Langwell, and I'm your host. I am an author, a speaker, a coach. I have been in sales and marketing as a consultant for over 3 decades. And one of the reasons I created this podcast is to be able to invite people from all walks of life, from all experience levels, to come and share their wisdom, experience, strength, and hope in whatever that means to them for one simple fact: to help you become a better human being. And only you can determine what that means to you. But that's why I have Doreen as my guest today. Doreen is just a phenomenal human being. I'm going to read her bio. I could do the short version, but you know what, you guys? She has a breadth and depth of experience here that I think it would be doing her a disservice to not read the quote unquote long bio, which is all of 3 paragraphs. So,
Okay.
Dr. Doreen Downing, is that all right?
Yes. I think there is some good story in there. Yes.
There is. So, Dr. Doreen Downing is a psychologist and podcast host of Find Your Voice, Change Your Life. She once suffered from stage fright. In conquering it, she discovered being connected to your authentic self is the key to relaxed and confident speaking. She now specializes in the treatment of public speaking anxiety. In addition to coaching and online courses, she is the author of The 7 Secrets to Essential Speaking, Find Your Voice, Change Your Life, a book that teaches you how to transform your anxiety with mindful presence and connection. You can download, there's a tongue twister, download Doreen's 7 Secrets to Fearless Speaking at www.doreen7secrets.com. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a treat and an honor. Go ahead and say hello, Doreen.
Oh, hello again. Hello, everyone. I really appreciate that you did do that because I think that's a great way to start is, yeah, I'm a psychologist. I'm an expert. I've been doing this work for, I have to say, 40 years already. But the whole point is I suffered. And I think that's what listeners need to hear is that those of us who have made it to a place where we are able to offer our guidance, our expertise, we started in a place of suffering.
Well, we all start at the same place, right?
Well, yeah, literally. Yes. Hello, world. Here I am. Let me see what life has in store for me. Oh my gosh, an alcoholic parent. Oh my gosh, a mother who's mentally ill. Oh, gee, what do I have to deal with? How am I going to find my voice? How am I going to be me in this crazy, dysfunctional world, right?
Well, you're so natural to talk to, Doreen. I'm going to do something. It's a little curveball. You don't have to, don't feel obligated to do it, but I purposely like to get to a level that is a little bit more approachable for folks because there's a lot of scared people out there. There's people that, and you probably have tons of them as your patients and clients, but people are scared. And a lot of the fear, and we'll talk about this later on, is stuff that can be unpacked and addressed with some coaching and with some guidance. But if you're okay with it, do you mind sharing maybe 10 minutes of your story on what really was the impetus for you to get into this line of work, and share as much or as little as you want, but take us back to those moments, 40 years ago when you made the decision to get into this line of work. Are you willing to do that?
Well, I would say definitely,
Okay.
definitely. That I think that that's, the more people can be vulnerable and real and tell the raw story, I think it makes more sense than to do a nice little cover.
Yeah.
Hello, here
Put
I
a
am,
bow on it.
doctor.
And here's my
Yes.
perfect picture. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, PhD. Yeah, she knows what she's talking about. But I'm going to go back just a little bit further, which is more of the beginning, because I already mentioned it to you a second ago about dysfunctional family life and alcoholism and unpredictability and mental illness, mother going off to the hospital and never knowing when that would happen and disappearing for weeks and then coming back. So that finally, my grandmother took over. And so the reason why I'm saying this and how it relates to me finding or not having a voice was grandma would say, be quiet. You're going to make your mom sick and she's going to go back into the hospital.
Ooh.
Don't you? Oh, I just even got a chill right there myself saying it again, because it's a life lived experience that I had to go deep, deep, deep inside of myself to say, what happened early on in my life, because I am a psychologist and that fascinates me with my clients, is what happened in your life that you didn't come through early childhood with, hello, yes, here I am, and I'm so happy to be alive, and let me step up. And so that was I would just wanted to voice what happened very, very early that I discovered that. So
Yeah.
that's there. But you mentioned 40 years ago. Well, we learn how to survive, don't we?
We do. Out of
Yeah.
necessity. I mean, it's the survival instincts kick in when all hell is going on around us, and as small children or young adults or teenagers, we kind of have to find our way to navigate through that. And that's where some of the survival instincts come in, right?
Yeah, I like the way you just did that for those who are watching us. Sean just went navigate and he's got a water behind him, a whole scene that looks like a bay. And so the navigating life is like, navigating rough seas. And we learn by living in environments that are challenging for us. And so, yeah, I made it through a PhD in psychology eventually, lots of good living. And, but somewhere along the line, I think because, my own experience living in dysfunction, I was drawn to the field of psychology,
Mhm.
probably to understand more about myself, but also, what the heck? What happens in dysfunctional families and how do I help those who feel trapped in them? So I think that was how come I picked psychology, but also because it's one on one. I
Right.
don't have to speak in front of a group. I just have to really listen deeply to somebody and help them come to some understanding. I'm not the expert, saying go do this, although maybe sometimes I suggest that. But basically, I chose psychology, I think, partly because I could hide.
Hmm. But was the impetus and the interest, was it really part of almost a curiosity of discovering some of the stuff? I mean, there's tons of self-help. I'm a self-help author. I hate that phrase because I don't believe that anything is truly self-help. And that's a conversation that I'll put on a podcast for a different day. But in terms of discovery, inquisitiveness, curiosity, wanting to kind of find out what was going on with whatever feelings, I mean, share with us what that was like.
Well, I like the word discovery you just used because because when my parents got divorced, I had to travel to see my father. I had to get on a bus
Mhm.
and go way up into Northern California, Willits, Northern California, to visit my father. And I think early on, I got this, ooh, if I travel, something great's going to happen at the other side. So I think I was I don't know what the word is. It's not really bit by the travel bug, but I think I learned that I like travel
Okay.
early on. So guess what happens in travel? Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You're open every minute, you're observing. If you're that kind of traveler, which I am, just more of and you use the word curiosity too, as opposed to having an itinerary. So with people, they're a puzzle to me, and I want to go on this inner journey with them. I want to travel inside of their, I'll just say it, inside of their psyches, inside of their whole whatever's going on, their character structure, and discover, wow, who are they and how do they get to be that way? So I think that that fascination that I just referred to is what was part of why psychology was something that called to me, not just um, helping myself get over my issues, but also and helping others, but also just, wow, it's fascinating putting together a puzzle.
It is, and it's also a way indirectly. You've got years and years as a licensed psychologist, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a certain amount of that inquisitiveness or curiosity and seeking and searching for relationships, patterns, and things with other people in whom we are relationship with, or even not. But I love the travel analogy because that is one thing I love about travel. This picture in the background, for those of you who may or may not see this, if I podcast this as a video cast, I've got a picture in the background that's on the San Francisco Bay with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background from the Golden Gate Ferry going over to the Giants game. And that to me was something I hadn't done in many, many years. And as soon as the pandemic lifted up, I'm like, I want to go do this.
Yeah,
And you can't explain it. So that curiosity of people finding puzzle is a good word,
yeah,
and putting the things together, and in so doing, I guess the train of thought I'm going back to is to find to better understand other people, and then indirectly or directly apply some of that back to us. But I hear you saying that's not the actual driver of what led you to psychology. That was kind of
uh-huh.
the reason was actually just a curiosity, right?
Well, I think what you're bringing up for me as I'm in this moment, kind of answering your questions and having this conversation with you, I feel like I'm putting together some, oh, well, so I mean, I haven't thought about it in a long time. So what did draw me initially to being a psychologist? And I think it's a group. It's the curiosity, it's the discovery, it's the fascination, it's the fact that I had come from dysfunctional family, probably the whole idea of wounded healer,
Mm-hmm.
that I knew I had wounds I needed to heal. And also this one other aspect I talked about is that it's very private. I don't have to be in front of a group speaking.
Which is ironic because I asked you to be the keynote speaker and you kicked off the thing. And I didn't really think of that when I asked you, and you put off this thing that, I kind of put you on the spot here. But if for those, if it's coming up again next year, it's going to be October 21st, I believe, 2024, whatever the third Saturday is in 2024. But Doreen got up there and she had me do an exercise that I hadn't done since I was in therapy 30 years ago. And it was different. It was almost like a Gestalt technique facing partners, but it
Yeah,
was this immersive connection
yeah,
with people I know by acquaintance that are on the board with me, but I don't really know. And
yeah, yeah. Well, this is wonderful that your video just stopped and it's like this pregnant pause that you're holding your hands up and uh it's it's a beautiful moment right now where the computer or internet said, we're gonna just pause. And I'm wondering if I should go on because it looks like Sean has momentarily slipped into a year ago where he's remembering exactly what it felt like to be in this exercise that I was leading. You are the host now, is what I just found out. And so we're still recording, and I think we'll see if Sean comes back or if I'm going to have to drop off and we'll resume. And so as long as I'm here and as long as it's still recording, I will go back to that moment and talk about what it was like to be on a stage with what 100 and over 150, maybe about that number of people in the room, and how to be totally inside of my own body. Not that I was delivering a script, but I was facilitating an event, facilitating an experience in the room. I wasn't just talking at, but I was reaching down into and helping them learn how to come into the sense of having a voice, being connected to their voice with a partner. And that means listening. That means deep, silent, open, non-judgmental listening, kind of like what I've learned to do in my office as a therapist. So that's what Sean was talking about in that exercise. So here I am still in the podcast. I don't know whether I should leave right now. It's still recording. So I think just for the sake of trying to catch up with Sean, I should probably say goodbye for now and see if we can come back to this. Thank you for listening. I'm Dr. Doreen Downing, psychologist. My website is DoreenDowning.com, DoreenDowning.com. Thank you.